Welcome to the Love Holistic Living podcast, your roadmap to heal and align mind, body, and soul and become intuitive through food, pleasure, and spirituality with your host and Italian friend, Sara Garofalo. Hello and welcome back on a new episode on what that's like to raise empathic children with your Italian friend, coach, healer, and author, Sara with Love Holistic Living. I hope you guys are doing wonderful. And I'm really excited about this episode because, as you know or have understood, I have two beautiful children and I had them in my 20s. So, for anybody who has become a parent in their 20s or even before that, well, it's definitely been so rewarding and so hard at the same time. But I was so lucky and I'm so grateful. I was so lucky that being raised in Italy, I lived my life. Like I had fun with friends and went on to discos and danced and had a lot of like beautiful moments that so many people in the US have during the college season of their life. So I felt like I didn't miss out, but definitely having a child when you're 23, well, your brain is not even developed yet, and you end up having to raise a kid, another human being, while trying to figure it out who you are. But despite this life event in my life, this episode is for anybody who is currently a parent. No matter your age, you will find great insights on the many challenges, actually three, but also how to continue to nurture your children so that they become empowered empaths. And again, if you're like, well, my kids is 20 and I did everything wrong, or I feel like I can't apply this, I promise you that you can change at any point in time. I have clients that are working through their inner journey and it's changing their relationship with their children who are now in their 30s or 20s now, and it's better than they've ever experienced it. So I hope that you will find this as insightful as I think it is. I've had to learn everything myself, and it was through my healing journey that I discovered these new techniques and how to nurture them. But at the same time, even though the parent is the teacher, the kids are teachers themselves. Like if I am who I am today is because of these two beautiful souls that came into my life to teach me so many things. And the reason why I keep applying myself, I keep bettering myself, I want to be good enough as a role model for them and empower them so they don't have to go through the BS that I went through. Hopefully, everyone has their own soul path. I'm not here to micromanage or tell them that they can't make mistakes. But if they are empowered enough to not make some of my biggest mistake I've ever made, and they understand the difference and they can make a conscious choice or somewhat conscious, then that's great. Or if they have the tools to get out and repair or reconstruct or rebuild, amazing. So that's all it is, right? We can only be the supporter. We can't do the work for them. But again, I became a mother at 23 and then 24, and going through the process of birthing has been life changing. I knew that that was a rite of passage, yet going through that experience, I've learned so much about my body in trusting what the body was doing, to trusting that I was strong enough to birth another human being. It was like so magical and so spiritually activating to birth another human being. Not that I would want to do it ever again. Side note, but then these two human beings came into my life, and I was like, I've never felt this unconditional love pouring out of all of my cells for another human being. Like the love that you feel, the protection, the mama bear, all the stories. Like I never thought that I could speak up, not for me, but for my kids. And yeah, again, it's such a powerful vibration. It's the strongest I've ever felt in my whole life. And if I am who I am today and who you are right now is, I mean, it is for my kids and probably it is for yours. So honor that. The kids they choose the parent for a reason and we choose them for a reason. Interestingly enough, I've got to say this before moving into the challenges. I felt like I knew my son as at a soul level. Like I knew his name even before he came into, to life. I knew how he looked like because he came into my dream and I felt this connection and I was talking to him and I was throughout the whole pregnancy. Obviously, the first born, you take everything so carefully, so slowly. It's so magical. Not saying that the second one is not, but you know what I mean. It's like the second one is like you're busy with a toddler, with another kid. So it goes by differently. And with the second soul, like my daughter, it's interesting because I feel like I'm getting to know her. Like I look at her and I'm like, where do you come from? I sometimes don't understand you, and you're teaching me a ton that I don't know. So I don't know if you have this relationships with one or multiple of your kids, but it's true. Like it's real. I'm going through the process. But definitely they're both empathic. They're indigo children. They're sensitive. They have this empathy of feeling other people's energy like me. And so we are right now in a household where I'm an empath, they're empaths, and it can be the recipe of a huge disaster if you first, as a parent, don't learn to master your energy, your emotions, take care of yourself so that you can support them because they need that stable rock foundation to go through their emotionals, ups and downs. They're learning. They are, learning themselves. They don't hold their emotions. They don't know how to even express them at first. And if you don't know yourself, well, then I would say the more you work on you, the more you help your children. But again, it can be a volcano when you're not grounded in your energy, and or let's just say that you're going through something like trauma response, survival mode, you're anxious, you're stressed. They pick up that and they amplify it like 10 times, like crazy. And I realize every time that happens that I need to ground myself. So I give myself a little bit of space to regather, release what I need to release, and be very present with them. If there is anything that they keep teaching me is, mommy, be here, like be so present. And I have developed, thanks to the lifestyle I'm choosing with my business, this ability to work when they're not with me, like full time. And when I am with them and they, you know, get off school, I need to pick them up, I need to take them, like we have weekends together, I don't work. So it is a little bit on the extreme because I have to work like sometimes 10, 12-hour days to catch up. But I'm grateful that I can do that because I'm so present when I'm with them. I get to be mom. And I love it for as long as it needs to be because at some point they're going to grow and fly away. So, but they need you to be present, bottom line. They need you to be grounded, present, and again, nobody's perfect here, but if you can understand that your self care is essential to keep them balanced right now, then take this and start practicing, start giving to yourself so that you can be there for them. The challenges that happen again with empaths, especially kids, is that they have this emotional overwhelm and they don't know how to manage their emotions along with taking emotions from others. So it feels very confusing to them. And the first thing that you can notice that this is happening, you're going to notice is because let's just say that they wake up happy. They're like, la la la, I'm so happy. They go to school, they come back and they're like a mess. They're like irritable. They're frustrated, they cry. Like that is their way to actually release everything that's been happening. Like crowded space, like schools are very hard for them. And I know that that is happening. Just know that that is happening, that they need to release their emotions that they've picked up from other kids in school and the teacher. And all you can do is to just allow space for them to do that. And you can also validate their feelings. Oh, yeah, it was a tough day. Maybe it was a no day. Oh, it was a happy day. I'm so glad. So, validating their feelings helps them to acknowledge their emotions. So, they're having an emotional overwhelm. They don't even know if it's theirs or someone else. You kind of understand that something is going on. And what you can do is to acknowledge their emotions and allow for them to release in the way that they need to release. And sometimes it's anger, sometimes, and as long as it doesn't hurt anybody, sometimes it's like crying and we welcome that. Sometimes it's like joy. Sometimes they go and need to jump on the trampoline, you know? The fastest way is to, again, acknowledge their emotion, help them release. The second challenge here that happens is boundary setting because they might struggle with setting boundaries and saying no, and it can lead to burnout. So, both of my kids, and they're kids, but they get very carried away when they play with other kids that have stronger personalities and they really don't know how to say no. So they get carried away with playing or doing things that sometimes I'm like, were you thinking about what you were doing? But I also know that they have a hard time expressing their boundaries because they want to have friends. They sometimes get into people pleasing mode. So, the best thing here you can do is to encourage them to listen to their feelings and express their own emotions, like with you, which is, safe parent. And yeah, hopefully like help them by role modeling and or in situation if you can see that they have a hard time like when they're with their friends and I can sense that they're not saying no but they want to say no, then I help them in like a positive way. Like I'm like, "Okay," like I prompt a little bit, like I help them like, "Hey, what is that you're really feeling? Like, do you really want to?" "Oh, no. Okay, well, just say that you'll see them later." Like, I help them so that they feel like they have a backup and they learn how to say it. And another challenge is social interactions. Like, they they may feel drained after school, after sports events, and one thing that you must understand is they get stressed out, like, drastically. So, putting your kids in so many activities when they're empaths can be very overwhelming. In fact, we choose like one activity per like I would say like semester because they get very overwhelmed and it always leads to them getting sick. So the best thing is to keep not quiet, but like a calm environment. So our space, our home is always like calm. It's like a heaven for them where they feel safe. We don't have a lot of interaction. It's just the three of us. Like we don't live with someone else. We don't live with grandparents. So they can come here and like actually rest and feel safe and then go out into the world and play and then come back and rejuvenate. And they know that they have their space too to go and retreat. And again, you must understand that activities are draining for them. And the more you help them to recharge at home, the better it is. So, we're going to go into how to nurture your empathic children or child. And again, the first one was validating their feelings. That helped me actually. I wasn't doing this for myself, but through empowering them, I empowered myself because I started to voice their emotions to help them realize what they were feeling. They were 3 and, like, 2 at the time, and, like, we were going through also a divorce, and there was a lot of happening, like, emotionally for them, and so I learned to educate them by acknowledging their emotions. "Hey, you seem mad," or, "Look at how this is so much fun. Oh, you seem to be having fun, or that is hard, huh? Without making them feel bad or like twisting anything. It was just like acknowledgement. Hey, like when they were like, oh, this thing, blah, 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 it just breaks. And I'm like, oh, this is tough, huh? Or it's annoying. So that helped them and that helped me. So killing two birds with one stone and encouraging their expression. So we always encourage here like drawing, doing arts and craft and music. And sometimes music is a lot of big noises, but I've learned to let them so that they release and they express themselves. And we welcome any opinions. And also teaching them emotional regulation techniques. This is something that we're still mastering. Like, we're not pro here because as kids, like, they have a hard time sitting still and doing breath work. Like, they don't really do it. But the best thing that I've learned, and it was through occupational therapy because my son went to occupational therapy for like 3 months to do emotional regulation through playful activities. So the occupational therapist showed us some exercises to do with like a ball on and squeezing like a very soft ball, like and massaging them because it's sensory and it calms their nervous system. Another thing was laying a blanket on the floor and then wrapping them like a burrito. Like they have to do it, they have to do the work. So it was fun for them. And then they have to untie themselves, they have to roll back. But it was engaging their nervous system, their muscles, and it would calm them immediately. Another thing was to do the like not the crab, but the other little creature that walks backwards, like engaging them in some form of activity that wasn't allowing them to think, like it was like meditation in action. It will calm their nervous system instead of, you know, doing breath work, which they were and they're still having a hard time doing it, and or taking them to nature. Like the fastest way to cleanse them was let's go to, have a hike, the creek. They would calm themselves immediately. Like it was all release of energy, cleansing, and they would come home like angels. Now, another thing that you can nurture your kids with that I use is really allowing for them to set boundaries and also respect their boundaries as long as it's safe, because if they need that personal space, if they're like, oh, I need space. So encourage them to say, like, it's okay if you need space. You can go in the room and play with your toys and sit by yourself, it's okay. And I realized in my culture in Italy, it's bad if you take personal space. Like everyone, it's a cultural thing, will tell you what's wrong with you. And I've learned through this culture that it's okay. And that was an improvement, major improvement, even for them to be like, I need my space. And it's not because I don't love you, it's because I need to regulate myself. So these little things will help to nurture them and empower them. Another thing is that I do another thing is educating them about their empathy. So, in the most fun and light way, I do talk about my experience being an empath and I ask them like, do you feel like another person's energy? Do you sense that this person is a little bit too much and when you come home, you kind of feel like their feelings, and we just talk lightly about it. And I share my own experience and I say, you know what? Sometimes I absorb other people's energy and I need a shower. I need to go to nature. I need my time and space because I get overwhelmed. And so they are starting to understand how that works and how deeply they feel. And that can be a superpower. So I always use this growth mindset of like, this is your superpower. You can tune into people's energy. You can read energies. You can make the right decision. You can be great, but it's always in a positive way. But they also need the boundaries, but they know they need to cleanse their energy. Another thing to help them is to give them a bath or a shower every night if you can get them into the shower because it does calm their nervous system and cleanse them from all the energies and they come, out and they're so like again, peace and quiet and little angels and they're ready for bed. So it's a spiritual practice that we have, even though they don't know it's spiritual. It's just a shower and a bath. It's fun. Perfect. And, encouraging them to take action steps in helping others, in expressing their feelings, in creating a safe haven. So wherever we go, sometimes we travel and I'm like, what can make you feel safe? Like when they go to dad, okay, do you want to bring anything? Do you want to bring your pajama? Like what will make you feel safe? And or how can you create safety when you are somewhere else that, mommy's not there? Like empowering them to look for the answer so that they learn to regulate themselves. They learn to be in all these situations. And, you know, everything that is happening in our lives. Sometimes it's not easy, especially when you have two different households, when you're co parenting or parallel parenting, which is a discussion for another episode, is an opportunity to help them grow, is an opportunity to teach them. Like I read this quote one day, it was a post on Instagram that said, having a growth mindset towards raising your children means like instead of saying, "Oh no, don't cut yourself, like I'll take the knife away," growth mindset will be, "Hey, let me show you how to use the knife. Let me show you what can happen if you put your fingers this way." And I always adopt this mindset with them. I always look for, okay, if you are in a situation and you have a knife over here or you have the scissor, how can you walk safely with the scissors in your hands? Like, how can you, you know, plant a little plant and understand that, you need to water it, like small things, how can you empower them so that they learn things, that they don't become dependent on you? At the end of the day, you want them to be independent, free souls, I hope. And that's my hope. It's like, okay, so we talk about it, and I try to stay as detached as possible sometimes, and I express my opinions. And then the best thing that right now we're learning is everybody is entitled to their opinions. Mommy has their opinions, you have your own opinion. This friend has her own opinions, and that is okay. We respect them. We don't have to agree. So, again, I hope that this was helpful. This is something that I've applied right now in this journey of single parenting together, but that has skyrocketed our growth in so many beautiful ways. And I'm constantly learning how to empower them. And I'm constantly doing my inner work to not give them what's mine because it's not fair to them to give them, my pain or my anger. Like I'm trying to be very like, that's me. I'm going to deal with it on my time. Sometimes there are episodes of and I'm going through something, but I'm pretty good at separating so that I can be for them, there for them, and empower them and they can grow, as two beautiful independent humans, hopefully. But again, let me know if this episode was helpful. Give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and don't forget to share it with anybody who will need to hear this. And I'll see you in the next episode.